NBA draft season is a beautiful time of year where fans of any and every team, no matter how good or bad they are, can look forward to seeing their team bring in some new, fresh young talent and give them a glimpse into their team's future. Especially for rebuilding teams that likely just capped off a season full of struggle and frustration, the draft is a time where they can celebrate something by drafting a top-tier prospect. However, these prospects don't always blossom into the way that draft experts and analysts expect them to, which ultimately just creates more problems. Players that become busts can show signs of heading down that path quickly, and before you know it, they can be out of the league. So today, we're going to be discussing the unfortunate story of Dragan Bender. Before we get into his whole story and what got him to the unfortunate situation that he's in now, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now, with that being said, let's begin. Dragan Bender is Croatian, but was actually born in a city called Čapljina in Bosnia-Herzegovina, which is right on the border of Croatia. He grew up there during his early childhood, and it was there where he first started playing basketball at a very early age. He signed up to play in a children's rec league for the first time in first grade, and he admittedly only did so because his brother, who is 2 years older than him, also signed up, and he just wanted to play with his brother. Because of the age gap, Bender resorted to always playing up 2 levels because he wanted to be paired with his brother, so early on in the game was a bit of a struggle for him, dealing with kids that were always 2 years older than him on a regular basis. However, while in the moment it was probably incredibly frustrating and tough on him, the disadvantage would actually prove to be a massive advantage for him later on, because playing with the older kids pushed him to work even harder to be able to compete with them and match their skill levels. Bender first came to the realization that he could actually make something of himself in basketball when he played at an academy run by former NBA player Nikola Vucic at the age of 12, and at this time, he was actually playing point guard because he hadn't yet hit his growth spurt. Tony Kukoc, who is most well known for being a running mate of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen on those dominant Bulls teams in the 90s, was Bender's favorite player to watch and try to emulate growing up, because he was a versatile player that could play both forward positions, score the basketball both inside and out, handle the ball very well for a player his size, and most importantly, he was a terrific passer of the ball. That's the way Bender wanted to try to play, an unselfish brand that did the smart thing instead of the selfish thing. Even when he started to hit his growth spurt and rise up to the height of a big man, he still had this thought process when he played. Bender impressed at this academy and from there took the leap to professional basketball at the age of 15. His career began with a Croatian team called KK Split, where he barely played because he was so young. The next season, he signed with a team called KK Kastela, who were played in the second-tier league in Croatia. However, with Bender playing a big role on the team, he helped them get promoted to the top league in Croatia, and his game-winning shot against KK Gorka was actually what secured this promotion. After playing as well as he was, he got the attention of Maccabi Tel Aviv, one of the best teams in Israel and a competitor in the EuroLeague, and he signed a long-term contract with them in 2014. His goal was to play with the senior team, but they loaned him out for the first season so he could get more playing time, and on a team called Ironi Ramat Gan, he put up big numbers and showed off the versatility of his game. At this time, he was also dominating the national scene, playing with the Croatian U16 team, participating at Eurocamp multiple years in a row, and in 2015, playing in Basketball Without Borders and actually taking home the MVP of that competition. The next season, he was brought back to Maccabi Tel Aviv and got consistent minutes with them, but was used more in a limited role. Despite this limited role though, he was still named an All-Star of the league, and after that season, he finally felt ready to take his game to yet another level by declaring for the NBA draft to compete against the top competition in the world. Now, keep in mind that this was in the year 2016, which was just one season after Kristaps Porzingis was drafted, and when Kristaps started lighting teams up right away in New York with his 7'3" height by knocking down threes, blocking shots, and running the floor like a guard, he really started to open Americans up to the idea that European players should start to be taken more seriously, and now it just so happens that yet another top European prospect shares a lot of the similar traits as Kristaps. Like Kristaps, Bender is also very tall at 7'1". He plays a majority of his offensive possessions around the three-point line as a shooter. Scouts noted that he was very nimble and light on his feet for someone as big as he is, and his versatility had several teams drafting in the lottery that year salivating. Even his defense was one of his biggest strengths, many scouts believed to be a part of his game, and his foot speed was expected to help him defend all the way out to the perimeter, as well as block shots in the paint. Being able to snag a unicorn of their own was on the mind of tons of GMs, and Bender was undoubtedly going to be one of the first names called on draft night. When draft night finally came, he got selected 4th overall by the Phoenix Suns, and many fans believed he was set to be the savior of the franchise after being down for so long, but the team's general manager made a statement preaching patience with him, as he was still so young and his skill set, while promising, still needed a lot of polish. His first season saw him playing very limited minutes off the bench, and his production was very erratic and inefficient, but again, as a teenager, the team was preaching patience. He also suffered an ankle injury that season and was held out for a few months that halted any progress he was making, but he went into the offseason healthy and ready to work hard towards earning a bigger role the next year. He did just that in the summer, including an impressive showing in the Summer League, and in his second season with the Suns, he did in fact have a much bigger role in the rotation. He played in every single game for the team, staying healthy all year, and started about half of the team's games. However, despite being given more of an opportunity to prove himself, his production really didn't improve all that much. His three-point shot finally started falling at about league average, but overall, he was still pretty inefficient as a scorer. He struggled playing consistent defense and rebounding the basketball, and his versatility that was promised to NBA teams on draft night was not on display nearly enough to justify the hype that he received. As a result, the Suns had a decision to make that summer going into year 3 regarding whether they wanted to pick up his 4th-year option on his contract, but despite preaching patience with him from the start, the team declined that option because clearly they didn't see the improvement that they were hoping to see, meaning that after his 3rd season, he would be a free agent. Now, he was obviously upset by this decision and admitted that he would have liked them to pick up the option, but he was still determined to make his NBA dream come true, whether that meant he would do so in Phoenix or somewhere else. So because of this, he had one final season to impress in order to maybe intrigue another team to sign him to a contract and give him a role in the rotation after the year ended. But before the season, the Suns hired a new coach in Igor Kokoskov, and Coach Igor pretty much froze him out of the rotation for the first half of the season, only ever giving him garbage time minutes every now and then. As the season progressed, it was obvious that the team wasn't going to win anything, so he did get more minutes, but by then his confidence was shot and his production took a step back, which was tough to do after already having poor production as it was in the years prior. This brings us up to the most recent summer where Bender was now in search of a new home, and while many thought his best option would be to find another tanking team in search of a low-risk, high-reward player like himself to give himself a second chance at earning a role with a team, he instead opted to join the top seed Milwaukee Bucks, who are completely set with their rotation players and are completely in win-now mode. The path to playing time there was always a difficult one from the start, and to no one's surprise, he barely played at all this season, logging only 91 total minutes. Because of this, when the team looked to bring in veteran Marvin Williams from the buyout market this past week, Bender was the one that got the axe, and was waived to clear a roster spot. This now brings us to the present, and Bender is now unemployed. In just 4 seasons, he went from someone many thought could be a franchise-saving big man, capable of replicating Kristaps Porzingis' production on the court, to a guy that warmed the benches and is now sitting at home waiting for an offer. It sucks it has to be like this, but it sure seems like Bender's name will now go down in history alongside guys like Anthony Bennett and Kwame Brown as some of the biggest busts ever. But then again, he is still only 22 years old, so he's got plenty of time to turn things around. It's just going to take a lot of hard work and determination. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think Bender's next move should be. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.